All right, man, peace. So, brothers, for many of you, you might remember there was an incident that occurred back around the time of Halloween of 2017, where Wendy Williams, who's a very famous nationwide talk show host who specializes in gossip and nonsense, particularly in the hip-hop world, she had an incident on national television where she was dressed up as the Statue of Liberty, i.e. the goddess Columbia, i.e. the goddess of witchcraft's Hecate. And all of a sudden, her eyes started to bulge, they got very wide, and she passed out on air. Her audience gasped, but immediately I knew what it was, that being that Wendy Williams is an asset, and she was being put through self-destruct programming. And that happens every once in a while with many, especially of the more high-profile assets that we see on television or the radio, where her handler wants to make sure that she understands who's in control. And they'll just send a little shock wave every once in a while. She was the recipient of that shock wave. I did a video about it, and I'm also going to do a follow-up because now it appears that Wendy Williams is going public with a substance abuse problem that she has. And for those of us who research the MK Ultra program, you'll know that MK Ultra Monarch assets are controlled via drugs, particularly hallucinogenic drugs, weed, or especially opiates. Those are normally the drugs that are used to control their assets. When it comes to Wendy Williams, she's been very transparent about her history involving crack cocaine as well as alcohol. Wendy Williams is an MK Ultra beta programmed asset. What does it mean when I say beta programmed? That means that she's a sex slave, allegedly. Allegedly. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to expound on certain sentiments that I've touched on very lightly.
Well, another talk show host, Wendy Williams, is opening up about seeking treatment for addiction. Williams said on her show yesterday she has a 24-hour sober coach.
As we can see here, Wendy Williams is dressed in the all black for Saturn. No, it's not happenstance that she was dressed in all black as she made this announcement. This is a ritual involving herself and those in the know to let them understand that she is a part of the craft. She's not going to tell the secrets. She understands what is on the line, that being her life if she decides to rebel, and she's going to make sure that she gets a lot of her issues under control so that they will not consider her a problem. Every once in a while, some of these assets, they step out of line and they have to get that little buzz so that they understand how things can go. When it comes to Wendy Williams, her handler is her husband, Kevin Hunter, or at least that's one of her handlers. She also worked with another very high-profile MK Ultra handler in the industry by the name of Charlemagne, who's been walked step by step through the entertainment world so that he could become a relatively well-known figure on the nationwide stage.
And is living in a sober house with other people battling addictions.
Doors locked by 10 p.m.
You must mean cage locked by 10 p.m. because you look like the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz. I mean, no disrespect, but damn.
Lights out by 10 p.m.
Your lights need to stay off.
So I go to my room and I stare at the ceiling and I fall asleep to wake up to come back here to see you.
Because that is your only purpose. Your handlers let you know. Your job is to make sure that all those wig-wearing, dim-witted, pea-brain females sitting in your audience behind you are overly obsessed with nonsense as opposed to doing their jobs for their families. That's all Wendy Williams is for, is to act as a major distraction for these modern-day super-liberal females.
So that is my truth.
Williams admitted in the past that she struggled with cocaine abuse. She founded a nonprofit 5 years ago to help others affected by addiction. Speculation about...
Now there's Wendy Williams in the Lady in Red archetype for Aset, the goddess of witchcrafts. I touched on that very briefly in the Taraji P. Henson video. Oftentimes you'll see these females in the red dress with the left shoulder exposed. Now when it came to Lil' Kim, she went all the way to exposing her left breast to fully show that she was trying to take on the energy of the mother goddess, because the left breast is the breast that was used to teach Heru. But sometimes they'll water it down and just reveal the left shoulder. When it comes to Wendy Williams here, they just reveal her left shoulder. But she is the Lady in Red, i.e. the goddess of witchcrafts, i.e. the whore of Babylon here.
About her health erupted in 2017 after she fainted on air. She took an extended break from her show at the beginning of this year, citing health issues related to an...
Good Lord. Oof. Kevin Hunter, man. That man took one for the Luciferian team. God damn.
autoimmune disease.
Yeah, everyone who cares about Wendy just wants her to be better. She's being applauded for being so candid about what she's going through, because it's a very personal and painful process that she's going through. So,
and the most
we certainly wish her well.
Yeah, the message that she's putting out is addiction is real, and you do need help.
Exactly.
There are people there to help you.
Well, we know addiction is real. Gayle King is addicted to wearing wigs, and you're addicted to wearing that Ronald McDonald makeup. So we know addiction is very real, Nora O'Donnell. Okay, so now, brothers, this is going to be the epilogue for the Wendy Williams video. Once again, this is another Monarch asset that they've sprinkled into the entertainment industry. And of course, she's under the beta, aka sex kitten programming. How do I know that? Because every time you look at a photo of Wendy Williams, she has on the leopard print. We also know that she must be a Monarch asset, or what they call a Monarch butterfly, because of her numerous mental breakdowns. Whenever you read these stories or hear these stories on the radio or on the news of a so-called celebrity being taken to a quote-unquote treatment facility or a psychiatric facility for evaluation, what they're doing is they're fine-tuning their programming for whatever reason, whether they had a breakdown of some sort, or if they're trying to rebel, or if it's just time for them to take the asset up to the next level. When we look at Wendy Williams here, this is her at 12 years old, looking like she's ready to win the heavyweight championship of the world. I've never seen a 12-year-old girl built like this. 12-year-old Wendy looks like she does supersets of 120 dips and 120 pull-ups. I mean, god damn. So is she one of Hollywood's trannies? Who knows? You brothers be the judge. I already know what I think. No disrespect. Now, this is Wendy Williams with her husband, aka her handler, Kevin Hunter, and their quote-unquote son. As we can see, Wendy has the violet on to match the Empire State Building, and her son is wearing the shirt with the black and white stripes and the red collar for the black mass. There's also the serpent on the collars. There's very little doubt in my mind that both Wendy and the son are programmed. Do not be surprised if you see her son in the entertainment industry in some capacity in the near future. Once again, in my view, my own personal opinion, her husband is her handler. Now, this is Wendy with the Hollywood witch, aka quote-unquote conscious rapper Common. Common, in my estimation, is a pansexual. A lot of people might not like me saying that. It's just my view of it. He was linked with Serena Williams. And, to be very honest with you, when I knew that that Common had to have been down with the program and that he was a member of the craft or the witch coven known as Hollywood, is when I saw him in that Terminator movie. I think it was Terminator Salvation. Whenever you see these rappers in these big budget action movies, they're down with the program, meaning what? They venerate the Bacchus, they venerate Pan, they venerate the Mother Goddess, and they're pansexuals. Now, some of you brothers out there might have some insight or some understanding on Common where you can say, no, brother, you're wrong about that, or yes, brother, you're right about that. I'm just giving you my perspective based on what I know. When we understand society and how it works, in order for you to be inducted or allowed into a certain realm or sphere, there are certain series of parameters that you have to meet, that you have to abide by. So we know that anyone who's a member of a certain club, this is what they had to do to get there. When I see someone allowed on major motion pictures or in major motion pictures on the movie screen, I already know certain things that they had to do, especially when I'm talking about big budget flicks where they're getting speaking roles, etc. It's already known. And once again, we see Wendy Williams with the leopard print on because she's a beta program sex kitten. Now here's Wendy being shepherded by her young son. They claim that the reason why she has this look on her face is because of Graves' disease. I doubt it. I think that she's having some type of psychological breakdown due to her programming. Very similar to the breakdown that she had on the air on Halloween when she passed out when she was dressed up like the Mother Goddess. They were letting her know, we can get you whenever we want. This is Wendy yet again. We see her in the leopard print. The leopard print overcoat. She loves leopard print. Why is that? Because it's one of the mechanisms with which they control her and her programming, that being the sex kitten programming. She'll do whatever her husband wants. He can do whatever he wants to her. And there's only so far that she's going to be able to detach from him. Once again, we see her with the leopard print on. 2 different types of leopard print. Let me do a close-up. She has on a leopard print scarf. She might have on 2 leopard print scarves, but it's 2 different types of leopard print. For people who might not quite understand, why do I always accentuate the leopard print? It's because that's meant to be an allusion to them being a modern day version of what's known in history or ancient history as a maenad. Spelled M as in Michael, A-E, and as in Nancy, A-D. Those were the female worshippers of the Bacchus. They were also known as nymphs, meaning what? They were purely for the sexual pleasure of the god Bacchus, who's widely recognized as the original celebrity. What we call celebrityhood or celebrityship. That concept dates back to the Bacchus, who's also known as Osiris. He was the great singer, the great instrumentalist, the great warrior, the great notable figure of his day. And he had an entourage of nymphs and satyrs, spelled S as in Sam, A-T-Y-R-S. Satyrs were also very talented musicians. They would fight for the Bacchus, they would sing for him, and they were known for their great lust. That's why even dudes today who are in an entourage or members of an entourage, what is it that's notable about an entourage? If a female fan wants to get to the celebrity, she has to have sex with everyone in the entourage or certain key members of the entourage to get to the celebrity. The concept dates all the way back to the ancient world. But just getting back to Wendy, that's why she wears the leopard print. She's under sex kitten programming. Here she goes again, looking ridiculous as hell. Has no hips. No hips whatsoever. Straight up and down like the number 1. And has on a St. Patrick's Day leopard print nightgown. I don't know what the hell this broad has on. And I put broad in quotes. Either way, you can see that she's bugged out of her damn mind. But what's interesting is that she has scores and scores of pea-brain liberal females who will listen to her every day. Isn't that interesting? Here she goes again. Looks like she just jumped out of bed and came right to the studio to record. Has on the leopard print nightgown and the blonde wig. We know that the blonde wig is normally a tip-off for a mind-control asset. Why is that? Because the blonde hair represents Heru or Harpocrates. Here we go again with the leopard print. Leopard print everywhere. Once again, the leopard or the leopard print was a totemic animal for Asar because it was meant to connote that he was the hidden one or the hidden god. The leopard print, as we all know, is a sign of camouflage. Once again with the leopard print and the blonde hair as well, or the blonde wig, I should say. Leopard print again with Wendy Williams. Now this ensemble here is interesting. She has on the orange dress, and we know that the orange is associated with illumination or the sun, the pineal gland, or reaching that crown aspect. The capstone on the pyramid is meant to connote illumination, and the belt, as usual, is the leopard print. Oftentimes when you see these celebrities wear the orange, especially at a festive occasion, that's what they're trying to convey. They're trying to convey that they've been illuminated. They worship the sun, aka Baal. Baal is the bull god of the sun. Well, we know what this photograph is meant to represent. As we can see, only the left eye is exposed. The left eye represents the eye of Hathor, aka the mother goddess. We see this over and over and over again, especially in the celebrity or Hollywood or the occult world, because they're pretty much all one and the same. Wendy Williams is a high-level witch. She's also an asset. Can it get any clearer, brothers? She's throwing up the Manu Cornuto hand sign, has her tongue out of her mouth. The tongue out of the mouth is for Kali. That means blood drinking. Okay? When you see the god or the mother goddess with the tongue out of their mouth, it's for the drinking of the blood that's meant to rejuvenate their body. Their spirit has to take on a new body, what they call an avatar. So once they're reborn, in order to keep that body fresh and young, they have to drink blood. That's where we get the mythos of the vampire from. But once again, just getting back to Wendy Williams, she venerates, she worships Pan and Kali, the father god and the mother goddess. Well, that's basically it on that, brothers. I just wanted to provide a bit more edification and some context to many of the things that I've been saying. But I think that when I did the first video on Wendy Williams, when they zapped her and she passed out on Halloween, that should have been enough. But we can never have too much information, too much detail. Whenever you see someone on television, especially a talk show host, 99 times out of 100, they're a handler and an asset. Going all the way back to Ed Sullivan and those people like that. Those were handlers, especially. I'm not quite sure if they were assets per se back in those days, but they were definitely handlers. That's why Ed Sullivan would always have Bob Hope on his show. Bob Hope was one of the top handlers and programmers, at least in the celebrity world, of the last 60, 70 years. He handled the Jackson 5 and a lot of other key assets, so on and so forth. So, brothers, this is another photo of Wendy Williams in the orange dress to denote once again that she's been, quote-unquote, illuminated, even though she's just an asset. In order for her to achieve a certain level of fame, she had to give herself over to the concepts and the precepts of Luciferianism. So that was done at some point in her life or her career, either as a child. She was sent over into the industry by whoever her caretaker was, or she decided to volunteer. Either way, it's very obvious what she is. Once again, she has on the orange dress, and we could tell by the pose that she's doing. She's crossing her legs over to form the X, showing what? That she's the proverbial avatar of a Set, the wife of Asar. Remember, the X symbol is always for Asar or Osiris, the unknown god. So when you see these females dress up in the ways that they do, or in the way that they do, they're showing that they're his consort. They're his wife, per se. They're Isis or a Set. That's why I stated in the video when they showed her on the catwalk and she was dressed up in the all red and her left shoulder was exposed. That was for a Set or Isis. Remember, she had her right hand up in the air or her right arm up in the air. She knew what she was doing. That's the same pose as the Statue of Liberty, the mother goddess. All right. But anyway,